Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, good evening, everyone. Is my audio and video okay? Can you guys hear me? Is my audio and video okay? Good evening, Shehbaz. Yes? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. In our previous lecture, we learned we were creating a image selling platform, right? And we learned the seller side of things. We learned how to create the seller side of things, right? We learned about authentication. We learned about authorization, and we learned about file upload, right? So basically, a user would sign up, then sign in as a seller, and then create a product. Okay. In this case, it is an image. This much we have learned. Now let's learn about buyer side of things. In buyer side of things, a buyer would come, again sign up, then sign in, then it would search for all images, right? It would search for all images, and whatever he likes, images, NFTs, whatever he likes, he would click on the buy button. Okay, when he clicks on the buy button, an invoice would get generated, right? Now, how we have already learned about sign up, we have already learned about sign in. That code we have already done, right? Get all images. It is very straightforward. Just make an DB call with find all, right? We are going to learn about the payment integration, okay? And we are going to do Stripe payment integration for today's lecture, right? And then the invoice that gets generated, we will get an alert. We will get an alert on Discord. Okay. So these two are the two important things that we are going to learn today. These two, uh, well, these two have a very simple integration, right? But if you learn Stripe, you would be able to integrate other platforms like Paytm, Razorpay, etc. They have a similar type of APIs, right? If you learn Discord, you would be able to do other webhook API calls. Both of them simply makes an API call to either a Stripe server or Discord server with the details, right? They make a post API call or put API calls with the details that you see, right? And whenever things are successful or unsuccessful, you get a callback, right? In both of the cases, it is the same thing. For Stripe, we have an NPM module called Stripe itself. It gives you various functions, right? There are two ways of implementing Stripe or any payment gateway for that matter. One way is you ask card details from users, right? And in the post request, you get the card details, for example, name on card, number, and CVV, right? You set this data to Stripe. Stripe makes a payment, right? In many cases, the company also generates invoices. For example, in Razorpay, it generates invoices for you and things like those. There are multiple services that you can avail. right? It makes the payment and it returns whether the payment was successful or failure, right? And whether it was success or failure. You get a call back basically. The other thing is you redirect, you simply redirect to Stripe website, to Stripe website. Okay, Stripe handles everything. Stripe will take name, number, and CVV, makes the payment, and when you are creating your API calls, API keys, so Stripe asks you what is the success and what is the error URLs, right? The Stripe will automatically redirect to either success or error URLs, right? You make the slash success and slash error uh, URLs, right? And handle whatever you want to do in both of them, right? So there are two methods. One is you take responsibility of taking the name, number, and CVV. The other one is Stripe takes the responsibility of handling the edge cases, performance security related to the card details. Right? Tell me what would you prefer? Would you like to handle everything or would you like Stripe to handle everything? Tell me what would you prefer? Would you like to handle everything? Would you go for first route or second route? Yes. It is much preferable to let a Stripe handle everything, right? Because first of all, you cannot save the card details in your server, right? Until and unless you have a proper government authorization. Okay? It is much better to let Stripe handles everything, the security and things like those, and you just redirect to the Stripe website, right? So today we are going to cover the first method. It will be your THA to get second method done, right? In the second method, you basically Stripe gives you a link on which you redirect, right? It gives you a link on which you redirect, simply response.redirect, and a user inputs its credentials, its card details, CVV, etc., etc. And then whenever it is success, it redirects you. It redirects the user to your success URL, or it redirects the user to your error URL. Okay. So in this case, basically you have to create three APIs: one to redirect, one for success, and one for error. Okay. And whatever you want to do on success, you do on success. Whatever you want to do on error, you would do on error. Mostly in both of the cases, we do something called alerting. Alerting basically tells or keeps a log of whatever is happening throughout the server. Okay. For example, alert can go to your WhatsApp or email. Email integration we have already learned, right? Or Discord or whatever you use. There is something called webhook, which we are going to cover today. There is something called webhook in which these companies create some URL on which you can make an API call with the data that you want, and it shows up uh, in your application, right? WhatsApp has their own webhook, email has their own webhook, Discord has their own webhook, and things like this. Right? Today we are going to cover Discord. Okay, I hope there are no doubts still here. Web web hook, which hooks the web together, is called webhook. Basically, they are an intermediate uh, URL, basically a URL on which you make an API call, and it displays the data whatever you are sending, right? It connects different applications together, basically an API call. Okay, Harsh? Okay, so let's talk about the Stripe integration. What would be our steps? Our first step would be in slash create API. We have to create the product, right? With name, price, and the image URL, right? Then we have to create the payment method. We have to create the payment in which we would ask for card details, and we need the product ID. Do we need something else? Do we need something else for payment? Do we need something else for payment? We need the buyer details, right? Now, the buyer details, we can get it in request.user because we have already set it in request.user in our previous class. Correct. We can set this, we can get the buyer details. Whoever is logged in, he is the buyer. Simple as that. Whoever is logged in, he is the buyer. We can get the logged in user in request.user. Okay. The product ID, where do we keep it? Do we keep it in the post URL or in the URL itself to in the get API, just like the get parameters? It's better to keep it in the URL itself. Why? Because if we are sending this URL, if you are sending this URL to suppose a friend of us, right? You have taken money from me. For example, Harsh has taken money from me, right? And in place of he giving money to me and then I buying this stuff, I ask Harsh to use this URL to make the payment and get things done. Right? I give him my credentials, whatever it is, and he makes the payment using this specific URL. Right? So we can get the product ID from the URL itself. It's better to get the product ID from the URL itself. Now, card details. These are uh, a secured thing. We should not get it in the URL. So they should be in the body, right? In the post body. So we are getting three things from three different objects. Is this clear? Card details, because they are secured, we need to get it in post body. Product ID, because we need it to be shareable. Product ID should be in the URL. And the buyer details we are already getting from the logged in user. Now to make this payment, user should be authenticated and should be a buyer. So we need to create two middlewares. One is authenticated, and the other one is buyer. Right? Is authenticated we have already created. Is buyer we need to create. Now, do we need something else? Yes. Uh, when the payment is successful, right? We need to integrate Discord. We need to send in the Discord uh, the order details. Now, if I'm talking about order details, then I need to save it also somewhere. We need to create order model for that, right? Now, do we need something else? A user comes, a user comes, hits on the buy. It makes an API call to slash buy, right? A user comes, hit on the buy. It makes an API call to slash buy with three things. What are those three things? Card details, product ID, and buyer details. Okay. When we hit buy, we redirect it to Stripe, and when the order is success or error, it makes a Discord. It messages us in the Discord. Right? I hope the flow is clear. There are no doubts in the flow. I hope everything is clear till here. No doubts? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Now, if you want to create order model, then what do we need in an order? One is the product details, maybe, and one is the user details who is buying, right? And the ID itself. Product, we have already have a table for that, right? User, we already have a table. So, because we already have a table, wouldn't it be beneficial if I simply save product ID and user ID in this, right? And connect it to their specific tables, right? Wouldn't it be beneficial rather than making a copy of the whole product and the user? Wouldn't it be beneficial to just store the product ID and link it to the product table? Store the user ID and link it to the user table, right? These are called foreign keys. In foreign keys, basically these are some keys or IDs which are connected to which denote some row in some other table. Okay? Foreign keys are keys which denotes a row in some other table. Okay? And these keys only gets stored in a table which is linked to that specific table. Understood? I hope foreign keys everybody know, right? Just like in this case, this product ID becomes a foreign key for me for products table. This user ID becomes a foreign key for me for user table. Okay, let's get coding. I hope the funda is clear over here. No doubts still here. I should wait for 1 minute if there are any doubts. All the fundas are clear? Yes? Okay. Now we need orders, right? So we need order models. In order models, right? Let's copy this, paste it over here, and change things. This would be called order. right? In this ID, we have a primary key true, auto increment should be true, allow nulls as false, and this would be of type integer. These things we do not want. We only want product ID, right? This would be data type dot integer, and we need user ID. This would be data types dot integer, right? Uh, do you guys want? You guys understood, right? We simply have created our new table with the name of order and keys like this. There would be three keys: ID, which would be primary key, which would be auto incremented, and we have product ID and user ID. Right? I hope there is no doubts over here. To create a linkage in our db.js, it should be in their specific files, but to show you together, I am creating it over here. It should be in their specific files, right? But to show you together, I'm doing it over here. Suppose you have user model, okay? Let's require it from model slash user model. Similarly, you have order model. Let's require it from models slash order model. Okay. Now you have to say order model belongs to user model. Okay. That is in user model, order model. Uh, in order model, user model is also there, right? With a foreign key of, let's call it buyer ID. In place of user ID, let's call it buyer ID. And also change this. Hmm. Okay. So we are saying in buyer ID, the user model, any ID from the user model would belong, right? To tell sequelize that, we simply write order model dot belongs to user model inside buyer ID. Okay. This is how you create foreign keys. Okay. Also, if you want to say it has many to many relationships, right? So you simply write user model dot has many order model in the foreign key of ID. Okay, this simply says that they have many to many connections. There can be many users inside order models. There can be many order models related to many users, right? So this is how you create foreign keys. Remember, these should be inside their specific models, not over here, but to show you the examples together, I've written it over here. Okay. Now, we also need product model. product model.js. Okay, let's copy order models and put it in product model. Let's call this product. Right. Over here also this ID is okay. The product would have name, which would be of data types dot string, right? It would have price, which would be of data types dot decimal, right? And it would have content, which would store the URL of the uploaded image dot string. Okay, so we have our product, we have our order, we have our user model. Now inside routes product, first of all, we need to create the product when we hit the slash create. Correct? So we have created our product details over here. We are sending it over here. Before this, let us save it in the database inside product table. Let's have product require it from model slash product. Okay, and before sending it in the response.status 200, let's create this. We send this object over here. Okay, now we have our saved product. Cool. Okay, we have created our products. Okay, now what do we want to do? We want to create an API where all the products can be listed, right? So simply we create router.get, okay, slash get slash all is authenticated. If the user is not authenticated, we cannot show them the result. We have request and we have response. Right over here, what we need to do, we just need to show what we just need to send back whatever is in the database. Okay. For that, what do we want to do is constant product equal to await product dot find all. Right? It simply returns an array of objects in which all the products that is in their database would come to them. Return response dot status 200 if everything goes as planned dot JSON products. Okay, this was simple enough. We simply made a database call find all. It returns a list of all the objects, all the products, and we simply return those products. Okay, good enough. Now we want to create our by route. So router dot post, we create our buy route. Now we want the product ID to be part of the buy route, right? How do we create variables in the URL itself? We create them using colon. We will get the product ID from here, right? We write is authenticated, and we need to create, where are the middlewares? Here. So just like is seller, if we reverse the condition of is seller, it becomes is buyer, right? So simply if in request.user.data_values is seller is not present, that means it is a buyer, right? I hope I'm not going too fast. Am I going too fast? Is this understandable to you guys or not? Yesterday we learned about is seller. Simply if the user has is seller true, it says it means that it is a seller. Just reverse the condition for buyer. If is seller is false, that means it is a buyer. I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast, do let me know, please. Right now we have is buyer, okay, and we have a request and response in the callback. We should always have try catch. We did not set data values, right? We set in request.user only. The data value should not be here, but I'm not sure why it was creating some errors. I will let you know why. It should be request.user.isSeller only. Forget about this. In request.user, we are saying user. This user has data values inside this. Yes, DB call is made user.find1, and whatever user we have, we get it in data values. So here we should write data values. Okay. With the DB call that we make, in the data values object, we get the users. So we were using data values there, but we can do it like this. Okay. Now, let us just copy this. See, we are doing the same thing again and again, but just a little difference, right? Uh, in the product routes. Now, what I want to do is, first of all, I need to check if the product ID that they are sending already exists or not, right? Then I need to make a API call or a DB call to the product, right? Await product dot find one, where where your ID is what we are getting in request dot params dot product ID. Okay, this gives us a product. If the product is not there, we return something back. If we did not find any product, then we return response dot status 404 dot json. The error is no product found. Okay, If we found the error, then what? If we found the error, then what? We need to create an order. Correct? So let's create order details. Right? The product ID is the ID that we got. Correct? Uh, this should be also dot data values. This should also return dot data values. Right? Product ID is what we are getting. We had two things in this, right? Where are the models? Order. Now we need product ID and buyer ID. Product ID is the product ID that we are getting over here. Right? And we need buyer ID. We need buyer ID, which we would get from request.user.id. In request.user.id, right? Yes. This is the product ID and the buyer ID. See, we are using request.user over here as well in the middlewares, and we are using it in the main API call as well, right? Because this would run, then this would run, then this would run. So if we have set request.user in is authenticated, then it would be present in his buyer as well as in this function, right? Now I need a stripe. Okay. Uh, Stripe credentials. Let's do it like this. Require from dot dot slash. In the config, I have set up the credentials. Stripe key. Right now we need Stripe. So let us install Stripe. Forget about this. Npm install Stripe and node1, let it run in the background. What is the error? In user model.js. Let's move it downstairs. Okay. Okay. What were we doing? We have our stripe key, right? I cannot show you the stripe key over here. Simply, again, to do anything, simply require the node module, right? And call the function. I'm calling the function over here itself. with the stripe key, right? Simply require the node module and call the function. That's it. See, Haruna, whenever we have a variable, any variable in the URL itself, we write it like this, colon, and then a variable name, where we want to use this variable name everywhere. Okay? So what happens is, Express treat it like a dynamic variable, dynamic URL. So any URL which has slash by slash say one slash by slash two slash by slash three, this part of the URL can change. Okay, so we put it in a variable called product ID. To get this variable value, we simply write request.params.product ID. Understood? Okay. We can get the card details from post. You know how that thing works. So let me just hard code it over here itself for the time being. Await your stripe dot payment method dot create. Okay. In this, we write the type of the payment is card type. Okay. And the card details are these. The number is something, right? Uh, it needs to be for some specific length. Let me just copy it. Let me just check if the length is okay or not. It should be any card number with the specified length. The expiry month is, let's say, 9. The expiry year is, let's say, 2023. Okay. CVC is, let's say, 314, right? In this, it is CVC, not CVV, which we have, right? We have set our card details. We can get it from request.body as well. You guys know that. And let's create our payment. Let's let payment intent equal to await stripe dot payment intent dot create. Simply require the node module and use the methods defined in it, right? And put up the uh, required data, right? The amount, where would we get the amount? We would get the amount from your product dot price. Okay, we would get the amount from product dot price. Uh, the currency is INR for us, right? Uh, payment method types is we are accepting card. So I'm just writing card over here. You can accept multiple mode of payments over here, right? Uh, the ID we would get from payment method. We have to pass an ID also. The payment method is payment method dot ID. We have to pass a reference of this object that we have created, the card details, right? And then we write confirm is true. Okay, so we are by default confirming everything. We just want to make the order as soon as possible, right? Now, if this order is successful, then we would get something in the payment intent, right? If we get something in the payment intent, it is very simple. Simply just put it in the database. Order dot create, that we have done many times. Inside that, we have the order details, right? And return with response dot status 200, everything is successful dot JSON create order, right? We send whatever is stored back to the client, right? If we do not find the payment intent, that is the payment has not been made yet, then what we do, else we send return response dot status 400 dot JSON. Inside error we write uh, payment failed. Okay, now this is how Stripe is integrated. We get the card details from request.body. We call this method stripe.paymentMethod.create. We pass in the card details, right? Then we make the actual payment using that card details using stripe.paymentintent.create, right? Inside that we put in the amount, the currency, whatever we are accepting, what is the payment type, payment method, uh, the this variable's ID, and by default we are setting to confirm for this demo only. Okay, are there any doubts? Simply what we did, like we are doing in every class, we are simply requiring a node module and calling some methods out of it. It is that simple, right? I hope there are no doubts. I hope there are no doubts in the Stripe integration. I'm waiting for 1 minute if there are any doubts. Simply we have to call these two methods for the card details and the payment. I'm waiting here for a minute if you have any doubt. You will get the Stripe key from their Stripe websites. You simply search on Google, how do I get a Stripe key? Simply just like we did in our last lecture, right? We go to their website, we create an API key. There is a button which creates an API key. You simply click that button and API key gets generated. You copy and paste it over here. It's that simple, right? If you simply do Google search, you will find all these steps. Yes. See, this is not a intended way of doing things, right? We should basically redirect it to their website, let them handle all the payment things, and we simply do not pass these two. Okay, But for this class and for simplicity's sake, I am doing this. I have hard coded the card details and I've used this. Okay. The exact details, if you want to know, simply search for a Stripe NPM. You go to their website, you will find all the methods that they have. Today, today's THA would be to learn about this NPM module, Stripe. Okay, Haruna? We are simply confirming everything, right? I do not want an error right now, so I am simply confirming everything. Any more doubts? Okay, now let's connect with Discord. To connect with Discord, who would tell me what would be the name of the npm package? To connect with Stripe, there was an npm package called Stripe. To set up Express, there was an npm package called Express. Right? Similarly, to connect with Discord, we have an npm package called discord.js. Okay, you simply install them. You simply install discord.js, right? It gives you something called webhook client. Okay, it gives you something called webhook client. Okay, in webhook client, this is a class. Now, whenever we deal with a class, how do we know that this is a class? The first letter is capital. This is how we know that this is a class. Whenever we deal with a class, we create an object of it. Okay. Uh, let's make it a small webhook equal to new webhook client, and here you pass in some URL. Right? How do we get the URL? We go to our Discord. Where is Discord? Here. We go to Discord. Okay. Wherever we want the messages to come. For example, in this channel, I want the messages to come. And if I have proper authorization, I click on the settings. I click on the settings. I click on integrations, right? I click on webhooks. I create a new webhook. I have created them. Simply, if you click them, it will create a new webhook. I click on this webhook. I copy webhook URL. Okay. I copy this URL. I paste it over here. Simple as that. Right? What did we do? In discord.js gives us something called webhook client. This is a class. We need to create an object out of it. So we did it with new keyword. Inside that, it requires a URL. How do we get the URL? We get the URL from your Discord. You click on this edit channel icon. You click on integrations. You see webhooks. Okay. You go to the webhook. You copy the webhook URL and you paste it over here. It is as simple as that. Right? Now, if I want to send some message over here, if I want to send some message over here, simply I will write webhook dot client, sorry, webhook dot send Okay, and I pass in whatever I want to send. Inside uh, content, what do I want to send? I am sending it from data for order ID, create order dot data values dot id. No, sorry, create order dot id. Okay, this is the content of the message. This is how it's going to be shown over here. Okay, uh, the username is what you want to call it. So over here, the name of the bot, right? Over there, I have written order keeper. So let's keep it order keeper only. Okay, and an avatar URL, whatever URL you feel like. This is how you send a message to Discord. Okay, if this is done, we send a response back. We can use the same thing for a different uh, channel when the payment fails. Okay, let's revise for this by product ID. This product ID is a variable which we can use. Okay, we find the product first from product.find1, where ID is request.params.product ID, right? Uh, if your product is not found, we send 404. If it is found, we create our order with the product ID and the buyer ID. Then we need to make the Stripe payment, right? For that, we need the card. We set up the card details in stripe.paymentmethod.create. Then we make the payment with stripe.paymentintent.create. If your payment intent is there, we create an order. We push it in the order table, and we send a message to our Discord channel. Okay, and return the created order back to your client. Okay, and some error hand. I hope there are no doubts. Let me just delete this message. Let's start the server and see if everything is working as expected or not. Let's come to our postman. Let us sign in first. User not found. Okay, so let's sign up. Is seller is false. That means I wanted to be a buyer. Okay, I want to be a buyer. I signed up. Right now, I need to sign in to get my bearer token. This is my bearer token. I copy this bearer token. I copy this bearer token. I put it in product create. In the authorization token over here, I replace the bearer token. I hit send. You are not a seller. Okay. First, I need to do that. So let me just duplicate this tab with site up. Is seller is true for me now. I hit send. Name validation fails. Okay. Again hit send. I got welcome. Then I do sign in To get my bearer token, I get my bearer token, the seller bearer token. I make the API call to the product by replacing my token. Right. Now I am a seller. I should be able to create it. Yes, the product is created. We have the product details. ID is 1, name is test, price is 23, content is this, updated and created. Okay. Now I want to get all the products. I make an API call to get all. This is a get API call. I hit send. JSON token error. Okay, I need to be authorized for this as well. Yes, I got my result. In the products, I have a list of the objects or list of the product. Right now, I only have one product. So I'm getting list of only one product with ID of 1. Okay. Then I need to buy one for as a buyer. So I need this token for that, right? The seller is false over here. In the authorization, I put in the buyer token, right? This is a post call with API v1 product slash buy slash one, right? This one is your product ID over here. Okay, so your product ID variable request.params.product ID, what would it be? It would be 1, right? I have already done the token. I do not need anything else. I hit send. No product found. Okay. Slash product slash by slash 1. Product dot find 1. Request dot params dot product ID. I did something wrong. ID is 1. ID is 1. Let me just do console.log over here. Console.log. Let's put in request.params.product ID and the product. Okay, see if server restarted. Yes, server restarted because we are using NodeMon. I hit send. Did I get something? Okay, I got 1, but I'm getting undefined when I'm doing find one. Product dot find one. Okay, let me just remove this and see if everything is fine. I hit send. In the data values, okay, uh, let's do something like this. Product equal to product find dot data values. Let's try one more time. I did not need to do that. Let's clear this. Hit send. I am getting the product over here, but we are getting an error. What is the error? Where is this coming from? This is not coming. We hit this, we hit this. Okay. The payment intent, I am not. Let's see what is the payment intent. Console.log, payment intent. I think this is getting undefined. Let's see. Payment intent and payment method. Let's hit send. Okay, it's not coming over here. At which point should we direct? We should direct over here itself. We create our orders and we redirect by sending the order details to the Stripe. Okay, Arindam? Arindam. Sorry. Okay. Okay, it is failing over here. It needs proper product ID. Let's clear this. Hit send again. Okay, it's not coming over there. Oh, why? Let's remove this return, although this should not create any issues. Uh, request.params. Okay, let's put it afterwards. I think my Stripe ID, my Stripe key is failing. Hmm. Okay. I think my Stripe key has expired, so I'm not able to make any API call using Stripe right now. But you get the gist, right? My Stripe key got expired. Anyways, I'm sorry I won't be able to make the API call. This simply sends something in the Discord. Uh, Let me just comment this out and send something to the Discord. Okay, let me send something to Discord. Hit send. It has, see, it sent. I am sending it from day 10 for order ID 1. Right? Uh, I am sending it from day 10 for order ID 1. Right? I hope you get the code right. For Stripe, let me just delete this. For Stripe, you simply have to call this method, Stripe payment method dot create. You put in the card details, and then Stripe payment intent dot create. You put in your details, the amount, the currency, the card, the type, and the method. Right? If you are getting everything, you simply use webhook.send. To use webhook, you use something called discord.js, which gives you webhook client. You create a new object out of it with webhook client and some URL, right? And You simply call the method dot send to send this content with this username and avatar onto your Discord. Okay, I hope there are no doubts. Just like this webhook, there are many different companies' webhooks, right? Mostly which allows public messaging or anything like those. You can simply use webhook.send and the content username avatar to send specific messages over time. Yes, the Discord bot, see this API call, whenever the payment is successful, we are sending an we are sending a message, right? So every time there is an order, this send would work. Okay, and it would send on every order. Yes, please try creating the Stripe key. You can get the code in the link below this video and get things done. Okay, I hope code is not too complicated. We are simply calling two methods, right? Is it complicated? Do you guys feel it is complicated? Do you guys feel it is complicated or not? We simply require some node modules and we simply have to call some methods, putting in the details that it requires. That is the only thing that we need to do, right? This is how we make a Stripe API call, and this is how we send messages over Discord using Discord bot, right? Okay, okay. I hope you learned something new today, although it is just like the same thing with what we are doing. Where do we write the code for redirect? We write the code for redirect over here itself. I do not want to accept the card details, right? I do not want to accept the card details. So I would simply redirect it to the Stripe website here itself, right? And then I have to create two more API calls. One is for success, one is for error. When you are creating the API key for Stripe, there only it will ask you what type of method do you want to do. Do you want to redirect or do you want to use this method? There only you can say that, okay, whenever there is success, redirect to this, make an API call to this URL. Whenever there is an error, make an API call to this URL, right? And in success and an error, we make webhook dot sends, right? There we create two channels. One is for success and one is for errors. In the error, we say that okay, this is the reason error occurred. This is the order ID or the invoice ID. And whenever it is success, we say that okay, this is the order ID for this much amount and things like those. Right? This can also be combined with web scheduling, right? You can write a cron job which tells you how much you are earning every month using this service, right? You write a cron job which makes a database call to orders, gets the price of all the successful orders, sums up, right? Create a report for you and send you over Discord, over WhatsApp, or Hike or whatnot, right? In that way, you can get a monthly report that you are earning this much from whatever you have created, right? You can sell softwares, you can sell clothes, you can create e-commerce websites, and anything like those. right? We have covered nearly everything of the e-commerce website. So you can sell anything at this moment, right? I hope you be creative with whatever you have learned and be productive uh, on whatever you are creating, right? Make some profit. Okay, this was all for today's class. I will meet you in the Mahasabha VC in our Discord channel to handle all your doubts. Peace.